Hey guys, RJ Game News USA here, and today we're going to talk about the College Football Playoff Committee and did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? And so if you like this kind of content, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Short answer here is yes, I believe the committee got it right. It pains me to say this as a Notre Dame fan that they got left out, but I'm going to explain why it's actually fair. But I also want to talk about possible reforms to the college football playoff and the matchups that we got. So let me start off by saying this. We had reform after last season. The top four conference champions were given the byes. Everybody hated that. They got rid of that. There's a new thing that happened this year that I believe will also cause reform, and that is automatic qualifiers altogether. Because we have two group of five teams that got into the CFP. That's going to create for a couple of snooze fest first round matchups. Let's be honest. The whole idea of the five conference champion thing was to give a single group of five team an opportunity to get to the playoff just to get waxed. Now, I do have some solutions for how they could get into the playoff still. Stay to the end for that. But let's go over what actually occurred here and what the matchups are. So, receiving first round byes, seeds 1 through 4. I got no issue here. Number 1, Indiana. They're the only undefeated team left in the country. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Georgia. I could flip them, honestly. I'd be okay with Georgia being 2, Ohio State 3, but it's negligible to me. It does matter, in the sense of who you're going to end up facing and how the bracket gets shifted. But 2, 3, between those two, I don't mind. Texas Tech at 4, got no issue there. They took care of business in the Big 12 championship. And then you get to the first round matchups. Number 5 is Oregon. And they'll be taking on James Madison. Oregon's going to wax them. Got no issue with Oregon being there. And based on the rules, I have no issue with James Madison being there. Because Duke beat Virginia, which caused that spot to open up for JMU. And Duke's a 5-loss team that doesn't deserve to be in the playoff, even though they won the ACC. Number 6 is Ole Miss. They have a rematch against number 11, Tulane. Interestingly enough, Tulane's head coach is going to Florida at the end of the season, but he's allowed to coach his team. Meanwhile, Lane Kiffin is not able to coach his team for Ole Miss. But when they played early in the regular season, it was a 5-touchdown win for Ole Miss. Ole Miss should take care of business. In the first round, the better seed gets the home field game as well. So easy win here for Ole Miss. And then we have number 7, Texas A&M, taking on number 10, Miami. This was the controversial spot right here that I'm going to talk about. It came down to Miami versus Notre Dame. They're very similar on FPI, strength of record, strength of schedule, pretty much every statistic. But we actually have a data point on the field where Miami defeated Notre Dame. It was way back at the beginning of the season. On some level, I just know Notre Dame's better. But I believe head-to-head has to matter. It has to matter. It mattered. They're in. Miami, Texas A&M. And then the 8-9 matchup is Oklahoma, Alabama. Alabama faced no punishment for getting waxed in the SEC championship game. I don't know. I might have dropped them a spot. I don't know. Alabama really was kind of locked in the 9 spot. Alabama, Oklahoma. That'll be interesting. And quickly to give my predictions on who's winning first round matchups, I see Oregon, Ole Miss advancing at home. I see Texas A&M advancing at home. I think Alabama upsets Oklahoma, which is why I'm not too upset that a 3-loss Alabama's even in the bracket, because I think they're good. And that would set up second-round matchups of Texas Tech and Oregon. Give me Oregon. And it would set up Ole Miss, Georgia. Give me Georgia. It'd set up Bama and Indiana. Give me Indiana. And it would set up Ohio State versus A&M. Give me Ohio State. And in the semifinals, I predict Ohio State over... actually, I predict Georgia over Ohio State. Because I do believe Georgia's a little better. That's why I would have put them at 2 and Ohio State at 3 instead. So Georgia in the championship game versus Indiana. And then I think Georgia's going to win it all. Just my opinion. But speaking about all this, I think we have some clear changes that need made. There's a couple different proposals I have here. Actually, really, I only have one good proposal. Let's be honest. Like, one proposal I thought about was every conference gets an automatic qualifier and you expand the playoff. Okay, you're just going to have a lot more shitty first-round matchups if you do that. I think automatic qualifiers got to be out, bro. Conference championship games, finito, finish. If I was the commissioner of college football, I would simply break up these larger conferences, bring back the Pac-12, bring back the Big East. You know what I mean? Have, drop a couple teams to the FCS level. I would seriously really have 12 regional traditional conferences with 10 teams each, and you play every team in your conference so you know who your fucking conference champion is by the end of the year definitively. Because head-to-head, if you're tied with the same record, you know what I mean? You don't need a conference championship game. You don't need a bunch of rematches in college football. You don't need an NFL-style schedule where you play each team twice. But you also don't need to be in a conference that has almost 20 teams where you don't play half your conference, and then there's some convoluted tiebreaker system to decide who's in the conference championship game, like what happened in the ACC. If Miami could have simply been in the ACC championship game, they would have either won it and solidified their spot, or they would have lost it and solidified Notre Dame's spot. So, don't like that. But I simply want to say, just make it the top 16. Get rid of the byes. Get rid of conference championship week. After the final Saturday of November in the regular season, that following day, like a week earlier than what today is, do your CFP rankings, okay? And it's just top 16. Boom, top 16, you know what I mean? And just no automatic qualifiers. So, for example, you could still have a group of 5 team make it if they're good enough. I mean, in order to be good enough, they need to be scheduling high leverage, Power 4 opponents. Stack their schedule and win the games. Prove you belong. I'm not interested in participation trophies or first round blowouts. I'm interested in finding out who the top 16 best teams of the country are and watching that play out. And a conference championship game gets in the way, and automatic bids get in the way. If Tulane may be ranked 16 in the country, I'm not sure, but they may have barely made it there, even under my format. But then you would have also had teams like Texas, Vanderbilt, BYU, and Notre Dame all be in this playoff. Think about what your matchups would have been. Okay? You still would have had Oklahoma, Alabama 8-9. You still would have had A&M and Miami 7-10. You would have had Ole Miss, Notre Dame, your 6-11. You would have had Oregon and BYU as your 5-12. Okay? Then you would have had at your 4-13 could have been Texas Tech and Texas, right? And then your 3-14 matchup could have been Georgia and Vanderbilt, okay? And your 2-15 matchup could have been Ohio State, Utah, right? And then your 1-16, you could have got Indiana and Tulane. I know USC's technically ranked ahead of Tulane, I believe. Maybe Tulane jumped them. But I would have Tulane above USC. Not because they're a group of 5 team that needs fucking, padded in there, but I just believe Tulane's better. Okay? 16-team playoff, and then first, second, third rounds, all home sites, playoff games. Love it. Your national championship game at a neutral site like the Super Bowl. It'd be great. You'd have games Friday night, Saturday night, Fridays, Saturdays, first round, then the quarterfinals, whittle it down to the semis, all through December. It would have been a thing of brilliance. Get rid of the bowl games. Get rid of the bullshit. Get rid of the conference championship games. Get rid of automatic qualifiers. If you can, as a commissioner, like I said, break these conferences up and make them regional and traditional. Like the old school Big Ten, the old SEC, the old Big 12, the Pac-12, or the Pac-10 again, right? The Big East, And that would be how you fix college football's issues on that end. And for more fixes, you would fix the calendar. You'd fix the National Signing Day. You'd make it later. So coaches wouldn't be leaving their schools in the middle of a playoff run. So yeah, there's some fixes that could be done here. They're not going to do any of those things except maybe one. They could get rid of automatic qualifiers, and I still think that's better. I would still take a 12-team playoff that gets rid of your JMUs and your Tulanes and adds in your Notre Dames and BYUs, because I think that would make for better football. So the committee got it right for what this was, but this is still a flawed playoff bracket. Now, that being said, it's miles better than a 4-team playoff or a 2-team BCS system. Okay, so before you think I'm just bitching to bitch, I'm saying this is new. We can still make it better. I think we should go to 16. And like I said, get rid of those automatic bids. Anyway, guys, that's my final thoughts on the CFP. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see y'all later.